Call Public Safety Committee meeting to order at 6:44. Are there any discussions? Lively group tonight. Okay, let's move on to the resolutions. There is one. Do I have a sponsor for that resolution?
Sponsor, Joe.
Okay, second. All right, Mr. Pep. All right, the resolution is to take funding for a I believe it's a microfilm or microfiche system that we are sharing with the 4 municipalities, and that it says it's totally provided by grant. Are there any discussions on this? I had a question whether it's addition to our microfilm equipment, or is this?
This is actually scanning.
This is the actual scanner itself, okay. And I guess we're going to share it with the City of Amsterdam, right?
I think it's scanning services. I don't.
It's not equipment, because it goes over here, records management, computer equipment, professional services, and computer software. So maybe it is or not, right?
Yeah.
That's, it's kind of not really explained that well, other than the fact that it's going to be with the City of Amsterdam, the town, the Montgomery County legislature, and I believe there was one in Fulton County, I guess, or not?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Yeah. We've had an outstanding record here in the county because of Kelly's efforts to get these records management grants.
Mm-hmm.
It's been going on for years. Some of them are very large. They're just outstanding work there. With respect to NICID and Industries for the disabled, that is a favored vendor by the state, and that's why that was used. So this is really a good thing, and I support it.
Okay. Any other discussion? Mr. Patel?
No, just good concept.
Okay. And I believe what it says here is that there's no funding coming out of our money, and that, sorry, I made a misunderstanding. It's not Fulton County, it is the town of Mohawk. Town of Florida, Montgomery County, let's see, town of Amsterdam, and there you go. How do you feel? Shall we, what's that? Everybody seems to be happy, so shall we move with the full board?
Aye.
Okay, all in favor, all noes, abstained? Very good, it passes. And is there any other resolution to discuss? Public safety meeting then is adjourned. We need a motion to adjourn, so.
I'll make it.
Okay, thank you. I second that motion. And we vote all to adjourn the committee meeting. Thank you very much. Well, that was hard of it today. What's that?
You always saw that.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're up, dude. Dude.
Okay, we'll call the committee meeting to order at 6:48. Privilege of the committee chair, I would advise my colleagues that there is a resolution here on the agenda that I've requested from the county, and so I won't be voting on that or moving it forward. The resolution is for a municipal endorsement for a recreational trails program grant that the Philmont Snow Travelers is applying for. My company, TGW Consulting Group, has secured this grant in the past for the same club, but that was when there was County Board of Supervisors who also endorsed that particular project. The project is for a purchase of a trail groomer. There are two snowmobile grants in the state. One is one that the county gets every year, and the second one is a competitive grant for not-for-profits called the Recreational Trails Program, and that is usually available every 2 years through the consolidated funding application. Does anyone else want to be heard on any other matters? If not, we'll go on to the resolutions. First resolution is a resolution authorizing expenditure of bid tax funds to the Fort Plain Museum to promote tourism in Montgomery County. Chair looks for a sponsor and a second.
I'll sponsor.
Legislator Pep, thank you.
Pep and Mueller?
Wilson.
You just,
Pardon?
you said Mueller?
I'm sorry, Wilson. I did. I must have overheated when I walked here this evening. I had to park in back of the fire. Apologize for that. And I apologize to you for that especially. Okay. Is there any discussion on this resolution? If not, we'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Are any opposed or abstained? So let's move to the full board, full legislature. Resolution authorizing the County of Montgomery to transfer the Northern Transfer Station owned jointly by the counties of Montgomery, Otsego, Schoharie, and Otsego County. The chair looks for a sponsor and a second. Pertel and Pep. Thank you. Discussion here?
Just for clarification, the northern transfer station is located in Oswego County?
Yes. This is,
Otsego.
yeah.
Thank you. That's confusing,
Yes.
northern.
I think this is just forwarded as
Right.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Okay, the next resolution is the one that I don't know how to handle this, Chairman.
I'll take care of it. It's a resolution endorsing the grant application from the Full-Mont Snow Travelers Incorporated New York Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation. Looking for a sponsor and a second. Legislator Edwell. Second. Legislator Kelly. Discussion. One thing I would say, this is a great thing. Full-Mont, as well as the Forest Preserve in Montgomery County, do a great job. Also, the town of Florida's Snowmobile Club. And these groomers are, although they haven't had much of a workout in the last few years, are very instrumental for bringing tourism in. So definitely appreciate that. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
Abstain.
Legislator Duchessis.
Thank you. Now we're back to resolution adopting introductory law G, local law number 7 of 2017. It's a local law authorizing a lease agreement between Frank Rico and Montgomery County.
Sponsor.
That was sponsor and a second, Headwell. Thank you. Is there discussion here? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries. Okay, and I think this is the final one, is resolution adopting introductory law H, local law number 8 of 2017, a local law repealing local law 11 of 2002 and imposing a wireless communications surcharge pursuant to tax law 186G. So it looks like this is just collecting the same fee, only under different legislation, different enabling legislation.
Yeah, the state wants to do the collecting instead of the counties doing it themselves.
Chair looks for a sponsor in a second. We have Pep and Wilson.
Got it right.
We've been making a mistake for a while. At least not tonight. Is there any discussion on this matter? Yes?
So the state's collecting the money.
No,
Well, when this goes through,
it will be effective December 1st.
are they going to take a percentage of it for administrative costs?
Not to my knowledge, but I would have to read the legislation a little more closely. It's not really an optional.
the state said we want to do it ourselves, so they revoked the authority under the county law, and they did it under the tax law, so.
If there's no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed or abstentions? Motion carries to the full legislature. Did I miss one?
Yeah, they're adopting the FMC.
I know we have one final one with the budget, but did I miss one about the allocation of bed tax?
No.
Okay. So then our final resolution is a resolution adopting the 2017-2018 FMCC operating budget, county legislature. Yes,
That's fine, sir.
I'll second.
in a second, good. All right, any discussion here?
Legislator Duchessis, just to let everyone know, the public hearing for that budget will be next Tuesday at 6:55.
Thank you.
Chair,
Yes?
is there any increase over the last year?
No.
No, we had a presentation,
Yeah, just wanted to-
and it looked like 3 years were the same, right?
Thank you.
Next year.
Yeah, this is the third year.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed or abstentions? Motion carries to the full legislature. So now entertain, oh, yes,
I have another.
oh, thank you.
Cheryl, that presentation that Napa and Mr. Greco gave during the last legislature, could you forward that to everybody who wasn't, or, well, just forward it to everybody so that they can peruse it?
Do I have it? Was that
From
what you had?
January.
Is that what you had on your flash drive?
No, actually, Terry,
Right.
Terry Ryan brought that presentation in, so you probably don't have
I
it.
don't have a copy of it, but can we?
I can, I have the packet from IBS, I can,
Well,
I
they
can
were-
scan
They
it,
were
send it, or
supposed to
give it to
send it
Megan,
to us,
she can
so
send
we
it to
did
you.
request it.
Scan it and send it to me, and then depending on.
You send it to Megan first, I don't know.
Yes. And of course, we're also interested with the agreement itself. Thank you.
Someone's going to get it.
Is there any other business?
What?
I have someone.
You're getting it? Or, I'm
No,
sorry.
he said he's going to send it to you.
You're getting it, sending it to me. Okay.
Do you want, that's what I'm asking, do you want me to send, because a lot has changed since that original, what was in there, you changed a lot of it around with Terry, didn't you? Or did
Well,
that
I
part
mean,
of
the present-
contract change?
I didn't change the PowerPoint, but the contract is different, but I'm going to be.
So send them, it's okay.
They'll be getting the contract too.
Alright.
But
I'll send it over in one.
you'll send.
I'll send it to Cheryl, just a PowerPoint, I think that I had.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I'm not supposed to get it, so, or if I am, I'll.
I won't send it to you.
Perfect.
So if a lot has changed, we want to know really what we're looking at and then what our agreement is.
Oh, yeah, you want all the changes?
Well,
This has been about 3 months in.
it's always easier to vote no on something that where you don't have all the information. So depend, and I don't know how necessary my vote is, but I want to see more information.
Yeah, I will send the contract. What I'm asking is, do you want a redlined version, or do you want to see, like, just like, because it's quite.
I think the red line helps, doesn't it?
I'd like to see the red line.
It's quite difficult to read, but I can send the red line. Whatever you'd like to see.
It's up to you guys, but I mean,
Well,
we never had.
Would you have to go back and review to recreate? I don't want you to recreate a document, just want to take what we have.
Why don't I send, I'm sure I have a copy I can send you, and I'll also summarize the changes so you can see that as well.
Synopsis.
Thank you. That's very kind, I appreciate that courtesy. Thank you. If there's no other business, the chair will look for a motion and a second to adjourn. We have Bertel and Wilson at 6:59. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Thank you.
call the Budget and Finance Committee meeting to order at 7 o'clock. We remind that this is a committee of the whole, so all of your votes are needed on these resolutions and measures. Are there any items for discussion before we get into the resolutions? All right, hearing none. Our first resolution is a resolution rescinding resolution number 84 of 2016 and adopting Montgomery County audit guidelines. Do I have a sponsor? Legislator Wilson, second, Legislator Hedwell. Any discussion? And I'd be happy to expound if you haven't had a chance to look at the amendment to the resolution of 2016. It pertains to section 6.02, the lodging section, and what it has to do is it creates a little more leeway for the approval of when people have to go away for seminars or things of that nature to be perhaps reimbursed for expenses related to overnight expenses related to conditions such as weather, if it's in our employees' best interest to get to a conference before a snowstorm comes, or due to the timing of their need to be there early or late as a presenter or something of that nature. So what this will do is, with the approval of the chairman of the legislature, and with a memo from the county executive to the chairman requesting same, such an expense can be approved. Is there any other discussion anybody else would want to have on that?
So it's just that one section that's being...
Yes, it's if you look at your information there on the attachment, it's section 602, that's what's in red, and it's the second half of the second paragraph there.
Yeah, I read that earlier, but I just want to make sure.
Oh, I'm sorry, Brian. Okay.
Thank you, Chair.
No, you're welcome, sir. All right, any further discussion on this topic? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. All right, our second resolution is a bond resolution authorizing the acquisition of new equipment for the county's Department of Public Works, estimating the aggregate cost thereof to be $496,000, and appropriating said amount therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $496,000 in serial bonds of the county to finance the costs related to these expenses. And that is in the form of a motion. Do we have a sponsor? Legislator Sweet, a second. Chairman Diamond. Any further discussion on this topic? Legislator Sweet.
Eric, I see that you have two F-350s. That's a stake. Are one of these going to be a plow truck similar to the one that you're looking at for?
All my trucks are ordered with plows. I don't order, unless it's for myself for engineering.
Right.
Everything for buildings and grounds is ordered through with plow.
So there's going to be two new F-350s 4x4 with plows.
Correct. They're utility body trucks.
Okay.
For buildings and grounds. And I also ordered my stake rack truck, the sign shop truck. Used to be a 6-wheel international 2-wheel drive. That's, we saved about $25,000 by going with an F-450 stake rack truck. And I put a plow on that as well because the sign shop crew also picks up deer on the edge of the road. They need to get to the Burbine Forest for disposal. So we have to plow that entranceway. Also may need to use that truck to plow the transfer stations for leachate disposal and things like that.
My point of the question was that we're buying two new trucks with plows that we may not need a plow on the weights and measures truck. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Legislator Sweet. We also remind that this is part of our 2017 capital projects budget, so it's something we have been anticipating coming our way for approval. Any further discussion on this matter? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you, it carries to full board. Our next resolution is a resolution approving abstract of audited claims. for a period of June 27th, 2017 through July 25th, 2017. Do I have a sponsor? Legislator Kelly, second from Legislator Headwell. Any further discussion on this matter? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you, carries the full board. All right, we have another resolution here authorizing the county executive to enter an agreement with the Montgomery County Agricultural Society promoting youth days at the Montgomery County Fonda Fair. And do we have a sponsor? Sponsor, Legislator Wilson. Second, Legislator Headwell. Any discussion?
I'm recusing myself.
Okay, thank you, Legislator Kelly. It's worth noting that if we do in fact approve this, it will be the second year in a row. It was something that started last year, and I believe that it was approved last year under the auspices that there was room to move money within our own budget to cover this expense. The audit position was never fulfilled, and with a line item of $30,000, and so consequently the money to support this project or this worthwhile cause, not project, certainly for our youth, was able to be approved under that set of guidelines last year. Keeping in mind that this year, if we do in fact approve this resolution, that money will come out of our fund balance directly. And reminding all of you as well that that has been one of our mantras, whenever and wherever possible, not to invade our fund balance if at all possible. Any further discussion? Legislator Patel.
I believe last year it was $10,000, wasn't it?
No, it was 15.
Was it 15? Is there room somewhere else in the budget to find the money rather than take it out of fund balance?
Well, we certainly have the ability to look at that in a little bit when we're looking at our budget and comparing where we stand so far year to date through 2017 to the budget we'd like to put together for next year. Legislator Sweet?
You may not know, I may not know, but is there a reason why this was not added to the budget for 17?
I apologize, I am unaware of that myself. Anybody have any insights? Chairman.
In fact, I didn't bring it up last year when I voted last year for it. I said, please, if you're going to do it this year, to have it reflected in this year's budget. Obviously, it wasn't.
Any further discussion? Legislator Patel, I'm sorry, you had your hand up there when we went to the legislative suite.
We don't have money in the legislative budget for our department. And that's what you're stating.
Likely not.
Is there any other, I don't think there is.
No.
And is there any other, have we looked and seen if there's any other departments that are running rich that we can...
We have not. This was it was this close to being an add-on resolution with a piece of paper tonight. It came very late in the game last Friday. So certainly any back research related to that.
I don't have any problem supporting this. I just
Mr.
like
Chairman,
to continue with that, not using fund balance.
I think we should, or I would support moving the resolution, except for the transfer line item, which I think we should come up with during the week and vote on during the meeting, rather than take from, even small amount as it is. I understand the legislature really is just trying to stay away from using contingency. So perhaps we can come up with something during the week. Maybe move it like this, or we can move it, just amend it at the meeting?
You can do it that way, or we move it without support.
Could you repeat that?
We can move it as is, or we can move it without endorsing it or supporting it. Just move it into full board for further discussion.
Can always be amended at the regular meeting.
All right,
It would be without, you could move it with no recommendation.
Yeah.
what would everyone like to do in that regard? Would we like to move it with a sponsor in a second, or with no recommendation?
I'd say no recommendation.
Well, you still need the sponsor in the second.
Oh, okay.
But then it would just be moved with no recommendation.
I see. Okay. Well,
I don't have any problem supporting the resolution, but like legislator Jesse said, I think we need to look for some other place to fund else to support it with.
If someone would take responsibility for making a proposal at the regular meeting, we could just amend it.
well, I'd like to know who's going to do the research, because I see us appearing here next Tuesday without any research, and
Who submitted the resolution?
it was Legislator Kelly. I mean,
Who sponsored?
well, the sponsors here were Legislator Wilson and Legislator Hedwell.
That's what
I don't want to leave.
I mean, we could send it without any recommendation. In the meantime, try to have a conversation or have a conversation with the county executive and see if he has any ideas. Other than that, I don't know how to go about, and I don't think it's our place to just go and pick a line item to pull it out of.
Correct.
I think it's more
The clerk of the legislature, do you have any insight as to whether the executive is aware of this and capable of conducting that research?
The executive is aware of the resolution. I guess I would say that someone from the legislature would have to ask him if he feels there's monies available.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I would recommend that we move the resolution as is. In the interim, I'm going to contact the county executive and may have a proposal for an amendment when the time comes.
Okay. All those in favor of moving it forward on that basis?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
With no recommendation.
With no recommendation. Thank you. All right, I do have an add-on resolution, which is a result of a discussion we had at our budget workshop last week. It's a resolution authorizing the county executive to sign agreement with the Bonadil Group for certified public accountant services. As you know, I'm sorry, I will look for a sponsor. Legislator Patel, second Legislator Wilson. Discussion. I'll start the discussion here, I suppose. We discussed this last week of exercising our first of two one-year options, of extending our contract with the Bonadil Group to cover fiscal year 2018. As you can see, the cost will be $52,000. That represents a $2,000 increase over this year's cost of $50,000 built into the contract if in fact that first year's option was exercised. So any further discussion?
2000 was predetermined in the original.
Yes, I believe so. Legislator Kelly? Okay. You were there for that when it was instituted. All right, any further discussion?
This is just for one year.
One exercising our first one-year option on that contract. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Sorry. conflicts there is, though, to post?
No.
All right, thank you. That carries the full board. All right, as we discussed last week under our budget workshop, under other tonight, we will be looking at the legislature's budget so that we can finalize some items for submission to the executive within the required timeline. So you have in front of you a sheet here with our cost center on it, back and front, Department 30, County Legislature. You also were furnished legislators' suite request last week to also have 2016 actual numbers. Were not able to be incorporated on a time availability basis into this particular spreadsheet. However, we do have a separate printout here with the 2016 budget for the county legislature, and you can see that it comes with a total as well. Expenditures to date would be the sum total of all the expenses and appropriations for our department for 2016 to use for comparative purposes here. So as we begin to look at this, I'd like to do it in the form and fashion that we instituted last week, starting at the top of the page and proceeding down. And the items in red, as mentioned, were items that we penciled in last week to get on this spreadsheet for further discussion tonight. You can see that the salary expenses for the county legislators individually is our first set of accounts here, and I don't believe that this is something that we need to change at all. It's a function of what's already in place, and so everybody okay with that set of accounts? Okay. Just want to make sure. I know we all are, but I don't want to assume anything. All right, proceeding down into the 1010, 2210, 2220, and 2259 accounts for office furniture, office equipment, and computer equipment. If you recall, last week we discussed the potential for with estimates obtained from our county purchasing agent, and a proposal for the potential of upgrading office, our furniture, our desks, and our chairs here, and the appropriation penciled in last week, $7,000 for that total. I think now's the time. Last week we decided that we're just going to pencil in things and not vote on them as we move down the line, but tonight we're going to take a vote on these things because we need to finalize this so that we can get working on this and get it to the executive. So is there any discussion about the office furniture line item for $7,000? Again, that would replace these desks and these chairs in some form of desks scenario as described by Chairman Diamond, that would be in a semicircular fashion, and certainly upgrade insofar as quality and age is concerned. Legislator Kelly? I'm going to go around the room. Nay?
No.
Legislator Sweet?
No.
Chairman Diamond?
Yes.
Legislator Headwell?
Yes.
Legislator Wilson?
Yes.
Legislator Duchessis?
This is for the increase?
Yes.
No.
Legislator Patel? Yes.
I spread out, guys, so I'm going to end up with the whole table.
I'm going to ask the clerk of the works, where are we? I'm sorry, the clerk of the legislature. Where were we on that item count?
There was 3 nays that I got.
3 nays.
Mine only gives up 6.
Well, I didn't vote yet.
Oh, yeah,
So that's 5 and 3.
5 and 3.
Yeah. I say nay, but it still carries, correct? Okay. Office equipment, $1,000 for a TV similar to that one to be mounted on that wall to facilitate seeing our resolutions on both sides of the room. Legislator Kelly?
Do just straight up vote?
Yeah, I mean, we might as well cut to the chase. We talked about this last week, unless there's any discussion. Let me start off with that.
This one, how much did this one cost us?
It was like 500, but I put 1,000 and then offer went up. They said it would be less, but I wanted not to exceed that amount.
I'm in favor.
Aye. Legislator Sweet?
Aye.
Chairman Diamond?
Aye.
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 Aye, and yes.
Aye for me too. Thank you, we'll include that. And if you look at your printout right now, there's a typo there. You can see that that should read $8,000 for total equipment. So keep in mind that when we get to the bottom of this column, or you know, the bottom of the page on page 2, that the total appropriations, we're going to need to add $7,000 to. All right, moving to the subset of accounts for contractual expenses in the 4-4 category. We have a line item for $750 for office supplies. Any discussion? Legislator Sweet.
Looks like year-to-date last year was 13.7. Is that right?
16.
1370 is what was spent, correct? And we're allocating 750. Is there any insight into that 1370, why we went over in 2016?
I believe that we took, I'd have to confirm this tomorrow, but I believe we had to take the purchase of the frame for the portraits out of that line.
Okay, and which is covered in another line item in partiality, correct, in the professional services?
Services, yes.
Okay.
I can confirm that and let you guys know tomorrow.
Are we, so back to Legislator Sweet, are you okay with 750 there, or?
Yeah, I just wanted to bring
Okay,
that up.
okay. Chairman Diamond?
Yes.
Aye. Legislator Headwell?
Yes.
Legislator Wilson?
Yes.
Legislator Duchessis?
Yes.
Legislator Isabel?
Yes.
Legislator Patel?
Yes.
All right, Legislator Pep, yes. Okay. Moving down to professional services, we have a line item, $55,000, knowing full well now that we just passed a resolution where $52,000 of that is Bonadillo for 2018. And as I was unaware last week when we were discussing this, I was under the impression that the $55,000 was the full Bonadillo amount, and obviously it's the lion's share. Last year in that $55,000 figure was money that we had apportioned for to pay for professional services to a lawyer for was it sanitary district?
Yeah.
And also, and that was, how much of that was that, Cheryl, roughly?
2,000, somewhere around 2,000.
All right, say 2,500 of it, and the difference was for pictures, our pictures and our framing, you know, or actually to pay for the pictures to the photographer and for the wall. So, I mean, in discussing it with the clerk of the legislature before this meeting, you know, there should still be enough. I mean, unless somebody's aware of any need to have money set aside for the legal counsel with the sanitation situation to proceed with the $55,000 line item. Legislator Kelly.
We're going to have to increase that by 2,000 because 5,000 of that is for quantity of your dashboards. Right? That was the agreement that we did for the dashboards was 5,000.
I don't believe we're paying for that any longer. I think Sean is doing that.
He's doing all
Yeah, he's doing, yeah.
Yes.
They gave him the format, he's creating them, Legislator Kelly.
There wasn't any change.
Yeah, no.
No, he was able to. All right, so are we all right? Let's take a vote on the $55,000 appropriation for the professional services line item. Legislator Kelly. Legislator Sweet. Chairman Diamond.
Aye.
Legislator Headwell.
Aye.
Legislator Wilson. Legislator DeChessie. Legislator Isabel. Legislator Patel.
Yes.
And aye for Legislator Pep. All right, we'll move down to travel-related costs. We have last year adopted budget $5,000. We used $29.52 last year. Year to date, we are, I gotta find that printout. Year to date, we are at 300, correct? So the decision was made last week to pencil in 2,500 there because of the pace we were on this year, and also further discussion regarding, how much mileage we actually use as a legislature, or mileage expense we incur as a legislature. So Legislator Kelly on the 2,500. Legislator Sweet.
Aye.
Chairman Diamond.
Aye.
Legislator Headwell.
Aye.
Legislator Wilson.
Aye.
Legislator DeChessie.
Aye.
Legislator Isabel.
Aye.
Legislator Patel.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Next line item, mileage allocations. Excuse me, I misspoke. Obviously, the mileage coming out of this line item, that's to cover, the previous one is to cover travel-related expenses. Last year, $1,000. We factored in 500 and penciled in 500. Year to date, we're at, we haven't used any. So that was provided part of the impetus behind the $500 allocation. It appears as though, we're able to manage with $500 for that line item. Legislator Kelly.
Last year, we only spent $39.
$39 last year.
$40, yeah, $39.96.
That's because your clerk saved you guys.
You're going to have to do it again.
I didn't turn it in.
Okay, I mean, before I go around the room, any amount that somebody would like to suggest for that line item?
$100.
$100? I mean, what about emergencies, or $250?
Where's the conference?
Well, I was just going to say, depending on where the conferences are is where you see the most mileage, but this year it's in Syracuse.
Syracuse.
So it's not, and we have been utilizing county vehicles the best
Sure.
we can, so.
And last year, where was
Last
the
year it
conference?
was in Niagara Falls.
So it was in Niagara Falls?
Well, we used a county vehicle.
Oh, okay.
And 2 years ago, when it was in Buffalo, Ryan was on a committee.
And he had to go ahead of time, so that's why we used.
We had someone on the state committee.
I see. All right. Instead of going around the room, $100 enough for everybody? Or, should...
I mean, it's a big difference, $500, $100, and what are we doing? We're punishing ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Chairman Diamond.
Clerk, do we know how much, the only thing I was, only reason I was thinking about leaving the 500 if we need to supplement the membership to go to the conference.
For the actual conference,
Yeah.
the lodging and all that comes out of the 4470.
Right, but is that, I'm just wondering if that's how much it is, how many people can we send under the 2,500? Do we know what the cost is?
It's, It's dependent on where you're staying, but I would say average
2 years ago.
$400
was-
a person.
What was it?
4 years ago was when most of the legislature met, when it was in Buffalo, and that was about $3,100.
And there was like 5 of us, including myself.
Maybe more.
So that was probably like $600 a person.
And last
Where it was
year,
located.
So 4 people could build it this year.
and last year was, we'll call it 3,000.
Leave 500 there.
Just in case.
Yeah.
All right. Everybody, rather than go around the room, everybody okay with 500 there? Okay, thank you. Association dues, 7133, pretty precise amount, not a rounded figure, based on information that the clerk was able to provide us. Any further discussion on that line item?
That may change. That might fluctuate a little bit.
Up or down?
It might go up.
Okay.
It's dependent on the population of the county. So if the population went up, that may go up. If the population has gone down, then I won't know that number until probably close to October before you adopt the budget.
All right, well, we need a number in here.
Oh,
I mean, this number will work.
We have money in mileage.
Yeah, okay. All right, 7133, Legislator Kelly. Legislator Sweet.
Yeah, it's almost $200 more than last year, so.
Chairman Diamond.
Aye.
Legislator Headwell.
Aye.
Legislator Wilson.
Aye.
Legislator DeChessie.
Aye.
Legislator Isabel.
Aye.
Legislator Pertel.
Yes.
And a yes from Legislator Peck. All right, legal notice and advertising, $1,500 line item seems to have, was adopted last year. It was at $1,365 last year, at the end of the year. Year to date, we're only at $233.
Cheryl's got some big ones coming up.
We have some,
Yeah,
we have
okay.
the 4 local laws that are having to be advertised.
All right. All right, Legislator Kelly, 1,500.
Aye.
Diamond. Legislator Headwell.
Aye.
Legislator Wilson, DeChessie.
Aye.
Isabel, Pertel. Okay, thank you. All right, bed tax contribution. As you know, last week we discussed the concept of including the entire bed tax allotment in our budget, as opposed to a split between our budget and the executive's budget, and that's why you see the $110,000 line item there. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, Legislator Kelly on the 110. Legislator Sweet.
Aye.
Chairman Diamond.
Aye.
Legislator Headwell.
Aye.
Legislator
Aye.
Wilson. Legislator DeChessie.
Aye.
Legislator Isabel. Legislator Pertel.
Yes.
And aye for Legislator Peck. Thank you. All right, moving down to the clerk of the legislative board, the salary line item. We asked the clerk of the legislature to research this, as well as the county auditor's proposed increase for the budget for 2008. And it's been included in this line item as we see it. Cheryl, can you tell us what percentage that was as it affected?
I was just going to ask Nicole, I think it's a 1%, isn't it, for next year?
I'm sorry, I think it's 1.5.
1.5?
Okay,
It is what it is.
yeah, okay. It is what it is, and, you know, if we knew off the top of our head, that's okay, but we gotta deal with these line items in this fashion. So, everybody all right with that allotment for that position?
Well, relief now.
We need a little comic relief.
Well, you get some money because you were taking minutes.
And you?
And I get some because I was handing out paperwork.
You guys don't know it, Chairman Diamond does.
Do you know what 1.5 of nothing is?
All right, thanks. All right, now the Deputy Clerk of the Legislature proposal to increase salary there, or for lack of better description, remuneration from $2,500 to $3,000 on the premise that serving as a deputy clerk for quite a few years, I don't know what the number was, without a raise, the proposal was made to give the position a $500 raise. So that's why we have that $3,000 amount in that line item right now. Any further discussion?
This is the fourth year.
Fourth year, thank you, Chairman Diamond. Seems reasonable, but we'll start around the room. Legislator Kelly.
Aye, she helps out a lot.
Legislator Sweet.
Aye.
Chairman Diamond.
Aye.
Legislator Headwell.
Aye.
Legislator Wilson. Duchessis.
Aye.
Legislator Duchessis. Legislator Isabel.
Aye.
Legislator Patel. And I from myself. Thank you. Now, the next line item, a proposed clerk typist position to assist the clerk of the legislature. Last week we penciled in without any knowledge of what this would run and charged the clerk of the legislature to discuss this with human resources and personnel. And
Mr. Chairman?
yes,
Yeah. I proposed this initially,
yes.
and sensing the mood of my fellow board members here, suggested perhaps that we put it for a part-time position rather than full-time, and that's why that number is what it is.
Okay. So, thank you, Legislator Duchessis. There's your explanation under discussion. So, any further discussion on that line item proposal? Hearing none?
Sure. So the position is going to do what?
Legislator Duchessis?
Well, it's kind of self-defining.
Well, it's clerk type.
Well, you mean how many hours?
Hours, responsibility.
Show what was the number of hours?
So this salary would be for 17 and a half hours per week.
So this person would help you with whatever needs to be, minutes, whatever.
There's a whole room in there that hasn't even been touched since the legislative research specialist left.
Any further discussion? Yes, Legislator Isabel.
Is this a new hire?
I would imagine so, correct? Yes. It would be.
And it would come from a list, correct? Or
It's
Sure, absolutely.
If it's part-time, non-competitive, if it's part-time, I believe it's non-competitive, I have to look at the civil service rules. For the most part, part-time clerks are non-competitive. So, I believe it would be without the list. I'll inform Cheryl tomorrow, definitely. But I believe it would be without regard to the list, and we would advertise for the position, still take applications, and provide them to the chairman and the legislature for review.
Thank you. Legislator Patel?
So several questions. One, this is part-time, there's no benefits, correct? Others is like,
Members not here.
do we really have part-time clerk type positions already? So people actually will apply for it.
Absolutely.
What departments do we have there now?
We had county clerk's office, off the top of my head has part-time clerks. Probation has a part-time temporary clerk currently. We can really for a full-time temporary clerk, either very part-time, and we do that corporate credit office. Through the resolution. They're lead clerks, they're the part-time lead clerks. But we do have a lot of part-time clerk positions.
Is there any precedent for using
Then they become full-time.
Well,
I
So they
guess with
have
benefits.
17.5 hours.
right.
They couldn't go over a certain amount of hours for the week, or we have to then pay benefits around to whether they're titled part-time or full-time. That you can't go over. But there has been some talk from department heads who have recently asked me about a shared position. It's just, there's some logistics to that I think that the county attorney and I would like to speak about.
Chairman Dunn.
Initially, and I kind of got the feeling from the rest of the board that this was a no-go. And something that I had meant to bring up that this might fit into is that our principal clerk typist who does our audits every year is a standalone position. So if this, I guess what I'm saying, I would support this if that part of the job description was that she would be trained in the audit department. We have no one other person that can do it when Ann's not there. For instance, this week she's on vacation, we don't have an audit. If she happened to be sick or just covering vacation, I could see where this, along with helping the clerk of the legislature, may in fact be a good thing. So I guess I'm saying if the job description would include the audit department, then I would support this.
Back up for the audit department, Chairman?
Yes.
I would just say that if it's a clerical position, you have to just be cautious that they're not working too up above their grade level, because then you end up with
Oh, I see what you're
other
saying.
issues. But I mean, as long as they're performing the lower functions of, I think these issues are
That probably would be the case still, so I guess I
then
would.
she can still, or he or she can still perform the lower functions in that title and still get assistance to both the clerk of the legislature as well as the audit.
Good point. I will withdraw those comments.
Thank you, Chairman. Any other further discussion? Hearing none, it's time to go around the room. Legislator Kelly? Legislator Sweet?
No.
Chairman Diamond?
Nay.
Legislator Headwell?
No.
Legislator Wilson?
Yes.
Legislator Duchessis?
Yes.
Legislator Isabel?
No.
Legislator Patel?
No.
So we will strike that from the proposed budget. All right, moving down to county auditor, that figure already includes the proposed increase for next year, so not much to discuss there. We'll go forward with that line item. Reminding you that the overtime pay was a shift from maintenance agreements, which no longer pertain because they have expired, and shifting it up to the overtime pay line based on the hours that the county auditor has to put in around the normal work schedule to do county audits under the conditions that exist today with the legislatures. So knowing that, and also keeping in mind that it is something that was discussed last week it was brought up, I believe, by Legislator Kelly. If we're going to have a county auditor, which will be the next line item, we were going to vote on, do we need that? And the counterpoint was made that, well, we can't be sure that the county auditor position will go through, so to include it there. So I don't know if we want to vote on these in tandem, because one really, oh no, you know what? We're going to need time to hire somebody but the overtime would apply later in the year, I believe, would it not, Chairman Diamond?
That's correct, yeah.
So,
Just for the month of December.
just for the month of December. So I guess the premise, yes, Legislator Patel.
We're talking about $500.
Okay,
I think we're spending a lot of time on $500.
all right.
I don't have any problem leaving $500 in and leaving a minuscule cushion for.
But if we don't
anything else.
use it, it'll just go back to the general.
Yeah, okay. So, on the overtime, Legislator Kelly? Aye. Legislator Sweet? Chairman Diamond?
Aye.
Legislator Headwell? Legislator Wilson? Legislator DeChessie? Legislator Isabel? Legislator Patel? All right, that carries. All right, the county auditor position. As proposed last month by the chairman of our Personnel Committee, Legislator DeChessie. It would be a part-time auditing position for $30,000. It's been in our budget in the past. It was taken out last year. Any other discussion on that line item? Chairman Diamond.
Well, I guess I'll reinstate my previous comments that if our principal account clerk is out, then the auditor could perform the audit and provide that responsibilities as a backup.
Legislator Sweet.
In order for me to support this line, I would need to have a definition of what responsibilities the county auditor would have. I know in the past it was mentioned that this person would go out and look for better prices, which I believe we have a purchasing agent that's supposed to be doing those things. So I would really like to have something saying this is what this person will do in order for me to support the $30,000.
Okay, Chairman Diamond.
Legislator Sweet's point is well taken. This is basically two separate functions. One is funding and the other is the job description, which you may or may not approve later on. But I did put together a job description on a list of duties, but I haven't presented them personnel yet because I didn't even know if we get this far. So this is a funding thing. If we hire an auditor and then the money would be used. If we don't hire an auditor, which is a separate resolution and approval, then it wouldn't be used. It would just go back to the fund balance. But what this does is just provide the funding if, in fact, we do hire an auditor.
Mr. Chairman, I think a job description already exists because the position has existed in the past.
It's a civil service job description, but I did put together a list of duties.
Legislator Isabel.
How many years have we had that position?
I'm going to need some help here.
What was it?
How many years have we not had the position?
Yes, how many years have we not had it?
It was during the last, it was,
Probably at least 6 or 7.
yeah, it didn't exist, through the last legislative session.
I think at least 2 years of the Board of Supervisors.
Okay.
Say this is going in year
So you're
7.
looking 4 or 5 years ahead.
Probably 6.
Are there major problems down there right now? Or are we just doing this on contingency, we're spending $30,000 to have somebody there in case the auditor is sick?
I think the reality of it, Legislator Isabel, is that, we are responsible for the audit, but the oversight of the audit and from a 1,000-foot view, not from rolling up our sleeves and performing it ourselves as
So
legislators.
in other words, you're saying there's something wrong with it, and that's why we need to put somebody down there full time, right?
I'm not saying there's a problem in the auditing department, but I'm saying that it's,
We're not saying there is, or we're not saying there isn't. We don't know.
Mr.
That's why we need
So
it.
it's enough of a problem that you feel you should put somebody down there to check on things, right? I just don't see it,
Well, that's fine. That's your opinion.
That's why, it is my,
Yeah.
just like you have your opinion, correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
But
And I'm just stating it.
me too.
Okay?
Mr. Chairman?
I'm not arguing with you.
Me neither.
Legislator DeChessie.
The problem with problems is that you don't know you have a problem until you have a problem. So, in this particular instance, what we do and what we call an audit is really not an audit. What I was looking for in the role of an auditor was consistency with state and county purchasing practices. And that's where things can go awry. So no, there aren't any problems, and I can tell you this, that simply having a county legislator attend a meeting whereby they sign off and just check to make sure that vouchers match up in terms of numbers and expenditures is not really an audit. So I don't know exactly what you would call that, but audits take place that way all the time in small governments, I suppose. I've seen it in towns and villages and city government. But I think here expenditures are significant, and it would make sense to have a real audit done.
I'm just wondering, don't we have a certified audit done every year by an outside accounting firm?
Yes, but that's not of every little invoice that passes through for payment every week of every month.
So basically, you're saying we're not having the job done right, correct?
I would say that's correct.
I don't believe that. But that's
Yeah,
okay.
I would say that's correct. I would say that, and I would also say that although, once again, I will reiterate that although the audit function falls under the auspices of the legislature, the intention from the comptroller of the currency that I believe Chairman Diamond received the research on is not for the legislature to perform the minutia of signing off on bills, but to oversee the function from a 1,000-foot view. So, and that is in fact what has existed since the elimination of the person in the job 6-7 years ago. Legislator Sweet.
It's a part-time position. So how many hours would that?
17 and a half. Okay.
Small leeway.
I'm sorry, Nicole?
There's a small leeway of hours, 17.5 is the standard.
You're telling us that, right? Yes, okay.
And what is, I remember doing audits when I was supervisor. What is the average time per week that is being performed right now?
Right now, I would say that 3 people are looking at it 4 days a week, or 4 days a month, for a period of, I would say what, an hour and a half?
That's but I mean, that said, I would just say, we're actually not performing an audit, we're just signing invoices.
Yeah.
So it's kind of two separate things, but the hours that we're signing invoices right now, I would say 3 people at, I would say an hour and a half, I think. Some weeks an hour, some weeks 2 hours.
And I would submit this to the rest of the legislature, that if the position is not funded, each and every one must spend time on it, doing it, instead of it falling on the shoulders of, obviously it's the responsibility of 2 of us, the chairman and the chairman of the budget committee, and to perform it as the function exists today. But certainly the spirit of the way it was instituted was that the 3rd position would be a rotating position that everyone would participate in, and knowing that the chairman and the chairman of the budget committee have to be there, that leaves 7 other legislators who could, over 12 months fit into the role and perform the task as well. And I know some of us have issue with that for time. I have to leave my job to do it, but it's my responsibility, so I do it. Some of us have issue with it insofar as the liability is concerned. Signing off on invoices that come across our desk in rapid fire, and having you know, a brief chance to ask the auditor, what's this bill about? What's that bill about? What's this bill about? You know, so I would submit that to you, that as fellow legislators, we should all share in it equally if we're going to have the position exist as it's structured today. But at any rate.
Well, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'm probably somewhat in the latter group. It's my intention not to attend those for the reasons I've already outlined.
Which are valid reasons.
Pardon?
Which are valid reasons, Legislator DeChessie.
But going forward, if the situation remains the same, I'll fall in line there.
All right.
Chair.
Legislator Patel.
You know, I participated in that
I know you did.
quite a bit, and took the time to slow down the process and go over things. And I think the opportunity that exists if you have legislators doing it is you have more than one eye on it, and you're not relying on the opinion of one person. You really don't have a lot of contact with, and unless you're reviewing his work, there's no guarantee that you're satisfied or happy with the process that person's doing. I know in the past there's been some questions about, you know, that. And I understand everything that everybody's saying, but I don't intend to support it.
Yes, legislators.
I feel you're adding $38,000 or
30
$30,000 to our budget for 17 and a half hours.
a week.
Your hair.
Well, it hasn't been, it really hasn't been determined yet. We're budgeting 30, what the actual pay rate is going to be. Is it per hour, or is it part-time? We don't know. That's just the ambiguous.
So I still feel that you're telling the person there, the people that are doing the job now are not doing it properly. And I think that's wrong.
I think it's a matter of looking at the glass half full or half empty. It's not because there's an opinion that the people who are doing the job are not doing it well or not doing it right. It's because putting the onus on the legislature to perform the daily task of the job is a mismatch. Chairman Don.
Well, I would just say, we are not doing an audit, and for some people that, just for clarification purposes, by the time that invoice gets to us to be signed, we know two things. We know that it's the goods or services that have been acquired through the rules of procurement, and the other thing we know when we get the invoice is that the money is in the budget. So those are the two things we know. Besides that, there's no audit going on. We're signing something about two things that we already know. So that's the difference between what we're doing now and having a person actually do an audit.
What additional would the person doing the audit do?
I have it, I don't know if I have it now.
I mean, just general, I don't mean.
Well, they would be, obviously, if you have the cost savings, there would be filing reports with us. I have a list of about 12 things, functions that they would be performing along those lines. One of the things too is, one of the things the previous auditor came up with is that we were paying additional tax for sales tax that counties didn't have to pay. That was a big savings to the county. So there's other rules and things out there that we don't know. We're not auditors that are out there that will be implemented. So that was part of what I put together.
I personally think when you're going through the bills downstairs, I've done them 2 or 3 times. And if there's something that's incorrect, it stands out there, major. And we're not paperclip hunters either. And for $30,000, that's a lot of paper.
No, Mr. Chairman, just as a for instance, you might sign off on an invoice that, because the amount matches what the purchase price was, et cetera. But you don't know if that department head went out and got 3 prices for that, if they were required to, what the county purchasing practices with respect to different amounts of money that are spent. For professional services is different, all things of that nature. That's the kind of thing that I was trying to address.
Thank you. Legislator Edwell, you had your hand up before, and I'll get to you, Legislator Kelly.
I think the position of county auditor is something we need. I do, but I also think that we need to also be looking at having some kind of part-time person in there to back up who's doing the job now. And I'm not, if we can kind of do both things at the same time, I think that's what we're, you know.
Gain more value out of this appropriation.
Yeah, because the fact is if something happens to the person that's there now and is gone for a long period of time, we're kind of.
There is no backup.
We have no backup.
Yeah.
And I would like to see a backup and this auditor position kind of being together. I mean, so if we're putting $30,000 in the budget to do this, I think that's a step in the right direction. But then when we go to hire the person for the position, we have an idea of what we're looking to do. I mean, because, you know, things are going well in the office now. You know, things are being looked at, they're being done. However, if something happens, then we're up the.
Quite honestly, I don't know what the backup plan is, but Legislator Kelly?
I value everyone's opinion, but I think people can make decisions. Can we just vote and go around, we're rehashing the same stuff over and over?
Yeah.
Well, I just have one more,
Chairman
you know,
Donovan.
just to reiterate Legislator Edwell said, and also to key in on Legislator Sweet. This is not saying we're hiring an auditor. The first 2 years, I think we budgeted $60,000 for the first 2 years. Last year, we didn't budget anything. And what this symbolizes is that we're budgeting $30,000, whether we hire an auditor or not. That has nothing to do with this. This is just money appropriated
For that potential, for that possibility. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll start with Legislator Kelly. Nay. Legislator Sweet.
Nay.
Legislator Diamond.
Aye.
Legislator Edwell.
Aye.
Legislator Wilson.
Aye.
Legislator DeChessie.
Aye.
Legislator Isabel.
No.
Legislator Patel. And Legislator Pep is aye.
4 nays.
Okay. We'll include it for the time being into the budget.
I'm glad that passed because I don't want to look petulant. I have to leave if that's okay.
Yeah, I think we're almost there, though.
All right.
All right? Only a few line items left in the 1320-4408-9 areas there. Office supplies, $700. Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
And how about the equipment rental, lease repair, $100 for that?
Yes.
And keeping the contingency account in our budget at $250.
Yes.
And 250,000 that is, and doing away with, or not including in our budget going forward, unallocated insurance, judgments and claims, other economic opportunity and development, conservation programs, and county extension services. Everyone else, yes, Legislator Kelly. So long as they come and make our presentations.
And make the presentation.
Correct.
I don't want to just see it as a line item. I want a presentation.
And Legislator Kelly, with your experience, in finance here over the previous term, how do we ensure that? Invite them to our budget meeting?
Yes.
Formally.
That would be the way. Yeah.
Okay.
The first year they didn't come and present, and last year they did because they were in our budget.
All right. So as we look in,
Excuse me.
yes,
In relation to that, Fulton County has really cut back on their share, right?
Yes. They only fund 20,000.
so as we look at our total appropriations, you see 672,448. Remember, we need to add,
No, that's the correct.
That is the correct
You
one?
have the correct.
Oh, that's right, I do. It's, I'm sorry, UC 665, 448, it's 672, 448, if you want to adjust that bottom line. Last year, total expenditures, 1,292,732.
But you still, you have to take out $11,104 for the,
That part-time.
Oh, that's correct, that's correct. So go 11,000 off of that, so we'll be around 661, 300.
344.
661, 344 versus last year, which was 1,292,732.
So, aye.
Are we all set?
On the last group that we bundled, aye.
All right. Legislator Sweet. Chairman Diamond.
Aye.
Legislator Headwell, Legislator Wilson. Legislator Duchessis, Legislator Isabel, Legislator Purcell. Thank you all for your time and perseverance and your valuable opinions on these subject matters. We will call a motion to adjourn. So moved and second from Legislator Sweet, adjourned at 8:07. Thank you.
Just let everybody know Main Street is still closed.